Okay, hey white people, guess what? I truly feel that if you want to show up and support people of color, people of different backgrounds, ethnicities, nationalities, the whole gamut, it would be really beneficial for you to realize that you're probably only attempting to be inclusive in one area of your life. And for those of you that own businesses, it's usually in that sector, from what I see at least. And this goes beyond, race and the more outer distinctive elements of ourselves as humans. It also goes along with how we define ourselves on the spectrum of good and evil as well. Now, separation is, in my opinion, one of the most harmful things that we could engage in, because we're creating friction that doesn't do anything. We're having conflict that isn't constructive. We're not coming together like two flints to actually start a fire. Instead, we just have an element over here and an element over here that is becoming more tense, more rigid, more rock-like, and has way less potential to create a fire than if we were to come together and actually create that friction. Because then we'd be rubbing away at the facades, getting down to the real essence of what the issue is here, right? And what I'm feeling is that people are not truly adopting the lifestyles for the life that they're advocating for the healing that they're advocating for collectively. Black Lives Matter, to me, watching all of this, has been a huge fucking PR campaign. I see a lot of performative allyship. I see, a lot of people who aren't Black using the Black Lives Matter hashtag, doing things like that, and therefore centering themselves within a movement in order to prove that they're on the, right side of history. And I say that just because I just don't like that term. Proving that they're not racist. And like the whole concept of having to prove oneself and rushing to do action to prove oneself is still a matter of ego. It's still a matter of ego here. And it's like, let me get to know you. What does your life look like? What is your day-to-day interaction with people that are different from you? People that look different than you, people that think differently from you, live differently from you. Like, what is the interaction there? Where are we crossing where are we crossing over lines and boundaries in order to make connection? And I don't mean like crossing over like my personal boundary, like, crossing over borders, although that's another sensitive term too. But I just feel like, one thing that an abuser and a victim have in common is fear. A lot of it has to do with fear. And we're in an age where it's like, some of us, in order to survive, have to overthink. It's almost like playing a chess game. And so with that, there are people out here trying to do the right thing, but they're overthinking it. But it's become a strategy. Doing the right thing has become more strategized than it has been an actual reflection of someone's character. And so what if we just allowed people to show their character? What if we were able to actually work with who people are and actually how they live and show up in the day-to-day, and go from there. Not what they want to show us, not what they're curating for an audience, but how they actually live, who they actually are. Because I guarantee you there are people out here that are not about, don't walk their talk. I'll just say that. They don't walk their talk. And that's why I show up on here and I'm just like, yeah, I'm in my fucking jammies on my couch fort, like whatever, like you know, you work with me. It's like, yeah, I was like, I'm hungover, you know, like I don't, like I'm a human too. I'm a human in this moment. I am a human too, as much as it sucks sometimes. And yeah, you can take this as me kind of going on a tirade or like rambling, but it's like, I sit and I watch. That's what I do. I sit and I observe and I just like, I take notes. And I just see so much incongruency. It's not even paradoxical, it's incongruent. This isn't a damned if you do, damned if you don't. This is more of a like, I am not right within myself, and therefore how can I make sense to you? How can you actually create truth around me? How can I create my own truth? Do I even have a truth, or am I anticipating hearing yours? And I just feel like, you know, it's this game of like, well, who's gonna? And it's like, because we're all lying to ourselves and therefore lying to each other. And, you know, it's like it is necessary to do our due diligence in being as real as possible, in taking account of everything that we say and everything that we claim to stand for and actually acting on it. And like, me personally, it's like a lot of people will tell me, oh, I love you so much, Venetia. Like, you're so great. You're so wonderful. You're so enlightening. And I'm just like, okay, but like, why is it that when you need a reading or something like that, you know, you need something, or you need to vent about something, and then that's it? Or, you know, maybe it's nice. Maybe I like to be held in space too, you know? And this isn't like a tit for tat necessarily, but appreciation doesn't have to be spoken. And I'm going to make a lateral move here. And like, with our practice, with our spiritual practice, with our magic, you know, it's not that I'm sitting here and I'm like invoking emotion and like saying to myself, you know, like having those affirmations, I am grateful, and like saying all of these things. That's in my head. That's not feeling something. That's not feeling something just because I'm like, you know, putting my hand on a tree and thinking, oh, I'm so grateful for you. This is so grounding. How about like actually feeling it? What is it like to go beyond our words and experience them? And I feel like that's where I'm getting really upset. It's like, where do we go beyond our words and actually experience them? Because I assure you, you would change what you're communicating if you actually knew what you were experiencing, if you actually stopped to have that experience. And that's why I sit and observe. Because it keeps me from ascribing labels to things. It allows me to experience my truth and attempt to get a handle on their experience as well. Attempt to tap into that. Whoever they is. Whoever they is. And so it's like, you know, we all deserve to feel uncomfortable for many reasons. But we cannot keep pushing our discomfort onto others, thinking that they can do something with it for us. You know, even within this work, I'm like, I'm not gonna do the work for you. I'm here to hold space. I'm here to help facilitate, you know, the means of self-initiation and self-examination. But beyond that, that's for you. I'm here to ask you the right questions. I'm here to guide you to the water. And it's up to you how deep you go. And I feel like, you know, we're all here sometimes just playing the trauma game. Not that those things aren't valid, but it's like we've ascribed so many different labels to what hurts us that if someone's doesn't match to ours, like the memory game, like if it doesn't match, then we can't take it off the board for a second. Just things like that. But alas, what do I know, right? All that I'm saying is the things that we care about, the things that matter to us, they aren't a fucking PR campaign. You know, it's not a fucking marketing ploy. Like, if we're gonna talk about stuff, like, let's fucking talk about it. You know, like, if we're going to write things, let's actually write them instead of just writing them. Because especially in this community, it's like, you know, if we want to heal the collective, we have to heal collectively, and it has to start from within. And as humans, it's like we can't help but be like externally centered, and like that is in itself damaging to us and to others, and it has that domino effect. And I'm sure some of y'all are wondering, you know, why, Venetia, do you keep posting stuff like, you know, we're all chained together? Because we are. We are all chained together, for better or for worse. We're either chained or we're bonded, depending on how we want to approach the situation. Depending on how responsible we are. And I feel like, you know, we all have a lot of growing up to do in order to be able to respond instead of react to everything. And it's like you know, and one of the things I feel like is, you know, catching people the most is how fast we're trying to go, how much pressure we put on ourselves. And it's like, did you ever stop and think that that was you doing that to yourself? That it was always in your court to be like, hey, I'm gonna slow down. Because if we all just agreed to slow down and to have an experience, we would be able to respond and make up for lost time. I mean, just look at how the earth regenerated so quickly when we all sheltered in place. And it's so funny because I was like, you know, there are people saying that this would have taken like how long for these changes to you know, these transformations to take effect? It doesn't have to take long. It doesn't have to take long. But how we identify ourselves can really stab us in the back. And it's like, how do we work backwards? If we live in a backwards world, then let's work backwards. Instead of trying to build upon shit that's already crumbling. Instead of continuing to be mad that we're fighting wars and fighting each other and then showing up to the battlefield to react to something. Creating a battlefield around certain areas of conflict. It's like we can operate in new ways if we are willing to experience what is there to start with us and then respond. Because, metamorphosis, an explosion, all of these things, the Big Bang, it all started from a core, a central core. And so whatever damage is being done that you feel like you're left unscathed, no matter if you're on the right or wrong side of anything, everyone has something that's being awakened in them. And why don't we start with that and then show up? Why don't we start with feeling things before we show up? I don't know. I'm just a person here drinking some coffee, fiddling with my hair. But I just get tired of having to say the same things sometimes. So if you happen to like what I said today or would like to know more, please check out my multitude of IGTV videos. Click the TV button in the middle of my profile. But anyways, I had to get some stuff off my chest this morning. I just had to relay the things that I'm experiencing and the things that I would like to respond to in this moment. And I just feel like, especially us as spiritual teachers and healers and people within the spiritual and wellness community, we have to really be about our work. And I'm sure many of you have heard this before, But it's like the world that we want to see, the world that we want to live in starts with us living that way. As best as we can. As best as we can. So there's that. And so we all have to work through our fear of being known, fear of being intimate, fear of, being comfortable, fear of being uncomfortable. It's like we were all carrying these fears that we're protecting, and that's causing more anguish. We're here to create solutions and not traumas, y'all. But all I see is us creating more trauma. And it just makes no sense.